Good evening, everyone. It is a late podcast. We are doing this live. We are coming to you from somewhere around the UK where we're all sweating hot. We've got hats on, we've got vests on, we've got God knows what. Fans are going, and we're all struggling. It is 30 degrees in some places and not far off in others. But I am joined by a wonderful panel as always. So for this season, it's been myself and Joseph doing Harry's co-hosting. So Joseph, it's good that we can have one last round before the end of the season, can't we, mate? So how's it going?
Yeah, definitely. No, I mean it's my first kind of season involved in the channel. It's been great. It's been a historical season. It feels like we're kind of getting back to normality with Tottenham, just getting disappointed every day. But, always enjoy sitting down and talking with like-minded Spurs fans about everything going on around Spurs.
No, I really appreciate that, mate. And Joey, I've got to say, I love that hat, mate. Where can I get one? And thank you for coming on tonight. So how you doing, man?
I'm good, thank you. Cal. Good to be back on again. As Joseph said, it's been a historic season. Hopefully have another one coming this year. But yeah, pleasure to be back on the channel. And this is from yours truly of Bester Village. So
Lovely stuff.
Yeah.
Lovely stuff. And last but not least, a good mate of mine, Trav, you are back from holiday. You have joined us from holiday, and you do have the special type of vest on tonight that does refine someone who drinks a lot of Stella in their life. So how you doing, brother?
Yeah, good, mate. Yeah, I've been back from Turkey for 2 days now. Feeling a bit jet lagged on a 4-hour flight. I don't really know how, but it was an awful flight, and I wouldn't recommend doing that sort of flight with Jet2. However, yes, I have got the vest on tonight. I was trying to find my blue one, but failed miserably. I don't drink Stella, just to confirm with everyone. Probably one of the worst beers out there. I'm more of a Peroni guy myself. But yeah, obviously, I've had to call for the pod tonight. I've been sitting on my sofa reading through people's tweets regarding Tottenham transfers with my blood boiling. So yeah, I'm glad that we've all managed to get on tonight with another great host of people.
No, really appreciate all of you boys being here for the late notice. So obviously, just a quick one. Obviously, don't forget to like and subscribe to Harry's channels and to everyone else who is on with me tonight. We are on X, we are on Facebook, we are on Instagram and TikTok. It is one of them shows where we will be having some good times. We will have bad times, but you will have us till about 10:30 tonight to try and bring some therapy to you. So theoretically, it's a month since the amazing win and parade. We are European champions. We are Tottenham Hotspur champions in the Europa League, and we have sacked our manager. We have got a new manager in Thomas Frank. We have got a new CEO in Vinay Venkateshan. Thank God Donna Cullen's gone, because her media duties couldn't have been any worse from God knows how long. We have got a new coaching staff. Bryan Mason is head coach at West Brom, and we are sitting here on the 27th of June, leading up to the start of pre-season, and Liverpool nearly spent 200 million. We're on set to spend 5 million for a centre-back who probably could be amazing, and we can't sort of poo-poo Johan Langer's aim to get in youth talent. But, and this is from someone who plays Football Manager, I've never heard of the geezer. So, Joseph, I'm going to come to you quickly. What was your reaction to this to start off with, mate?
I think it's one of those where I'm happy with the kind of signing. Again, I don't know too much about him. I think any Tottenham fan would be lying if they said that they did before the news came out. I think kind of coming from, I think it's is it Frontale? I'm not sure the actual name of the club, but apparently he's done really well in Japan. He's an international in terms of playing for and he seems like he's going to come in and actually be a part of the squad, which is really interesting to me. But I think it's more where I've seen Tottenham fans be a bit frustrated with it is because this seems like maybe the kind of profile like Bergvall was when he came in, and when when we signed Udogie and when we signed Papa Sarr, where we need to maybe embed him in, and he won't just make an instant impact. He might need a season or two to kind of, get his bearings. And we haven't done any of the now signings, the signings that are going to come in and make an impact, which is what last season showed that we are screaming out for. So, for me, I'm very interested to see what Takai is gonna do and how he's going to be in the squad, and hopefully, he could be maybe, when Romero was to move on eventually, and sadly, maybe Van de Ven won't be around forever. This kind of kid can come in and he can be the mainstay in the Tottenham defence. But again, right now we're in a bit of a situation where we need players for right now, and we haven't made any of those signings in this moment. So that's where I'm still a bit disappointed. But that shouldn't take anything away from Kota Takai. I think we need to, see how he does. And I'm excited for that signing. It seems like we've got a bit of hopefully a little wonder kid on our hands.
No, exactly. I mean, it does have the air of a Bergvall, Sarr and Udogie signing to it. But, Joey, I'm going to come to you on this one, mate, because Ange, before he left, did say that we needed experienced players. And I think a lot of Spurs fans finally appreciated and listened to what he had to say in that regard. And it's not me poo-pooing the idea, but this kind of puts two fingers up it and goes, where do we stand, doesn't it, sort of thing in that regard.
Yeah, most definitely. I totally agree with you, Cal. I think we've got a lot of youth prospects coming through, especially at centre half. Obviously, we have Vuskovic, Alfie Dorrington, Van der Ven still only 22, 23 max. Who else could I reel off? Phillips as well. Obviously, been in the Championship for the last 3 seasons. Surely he's ready to step up to the Premier League now and get a couple of minutes in maybe cup games, etc., and stuff like that. But it's like
even Dragoshin as well.
He's
about 23 as well, I think.
Yeah, he's young as well. So like, what's the blueprint we're following here? We're doing the youth thing, but at the same time, the squad needs to improve experience as well for us to actually kick on and carry on progressing. So, I mean, we kind of get the model that we're trying to follow, but at the same time, like as Anne said and as you said as well, Cal, it's like we need experienced pros to join this team now and this group of players. So that's my viewpoint on it.
No, I completely agree with where you're coming from, mate. And Trav, I'm going to come to you because I know myself and you are quite big on the youth project for Spurs, and we do look at it. But this does seem that it could be a good signing, but is it really what we need or what a fan base wants at this present time?
My biggest question is this a buyer from Daniel Levy, or is this a buyer that Thomas Frank's been looking at for quite some time and gone, look, this is the defender that I want. With our track record with transfers, I don't think it's a Thomas Frank signing. I think it's a Daniel Levy panic buy, yet another one. But as you guys say, he could come in. He's been thrown straight into the first team. Let's just see how he kind of goes. The only thing I can comment on the Japanese, obviously with Sonny being South Korean, is the Japanese will run their socks off for the full 90 minutes. And they will run and run and run and not run out of energy. They're full of steam, and they're committed. Obviously, like what Sonny has been for the last 10 years for us. So I think there is quite a lot of positivity with that. The only thing I'd say about, obviously, I know we are going to be doing a pod on the youth soon, but my problem is with these young signings is Ashley Phillips. I've read so many good positive things about Ashley Phillips when he come from Blackburn, that he was supposed to be, the next big thing. The next thing he's being sent out on loan. So I think we're probably one of the only teams in the Premier League to do that. You've only got to look at Manchester City with the likes of Oscar Bob, James McAtee and players like that. They get into the first team and they play really good football. So I don't understand why these players get sent out on loan. They've obviously had the experience, obviously with Phillips being in the Championship, and I hope he does become a first team player. I've not seen much of him apart from obviously pre-season games and a few bits and pieces on YouTube. So yeah, my there's always questioning with the youth. But obviously, we've got Lucas Bergvall. He's only a youngster. He's been one of the best players of the team last season. So I've got a lot of confidence in him. But yeah, obviously we had the other guy as well, didn't we? Who went to QPR. I can't remember his name now. I don't know if he was...
Yang.
Min Yuk.
Yeah, Min
Yang Min
Yang.
Hook, yeah.
Yeah, so obviously he went to QPR on loan. So there is a lot of questioning around the youth. There is a lot of questioning where these players are coming from and who's actually been looking at them. But obviously they're being scouted from somewhere. So obviously all we can do as Tottenham fans is obviously hope for the best and hope that he has a good time coming, being thrown straight into the deep end and coming into the first team.
The one thing I would say, Travis, is because you said about it maybe being a bit of a panic buy. I wouldn't say it's that. I would say probably one thing, it could have come from some links with Ange, because obviously we know Ange used to manage in the J League. It's possible that there could be some links there. And also, I think it's probably Johan Langer. He's obviously tracking him and seeing him and thinks he could have the potential to be a lot better. And, a 5 million fee is nothing for Tottenham, really, is it? So they spent 5 million, which obviously the record transfer fee for a Japanese or to the J League, which is obviously quite a big thing as well for them. But I think it is, they're probably looking at it like Bergvall. They're thinking he's going to have that kind of impact, the same as what Bergvall has, what Udogie did, what Papa Sarr did, how they've all become Premier League staple players. And we got them for quite a cheap fee. So I think that's positive. I think we should hope that this Takai guy is going to be good. But you're right. It does question. It definitely does make a question of what we're going to do with the current young players we've got at the club. Because that's all it's doing. With Vuskovic coming in, with Takai coming in, what happens to Dorrington? What happens to Phillips? I mean, right now I'm thinking, I don't know if we're ever going to see them fully in a Tottenham shirt. And maybe that's just the case. Maybe they don't think they're good enough for it. But that's what you're doing when you're bringing in these other young players. You're stopping the development through the actual academy.
I think with Dorrington, I've not seen too much of him, but one person I would hope we really keep hold of is Jamie Donnelly, obviously being on loan at Leyton Orient. That's one player that I really do have high expectation for. I'll probably change where I said it was a panic buy. I'll probably go to what you said, Joseph. It's a cheap buy, and that's Daniel Levy all over. He loves the cheap. So yeah, thank you for that. But obviously all we can do is just wait and see obviously what happens with him being a centre half. But the only thing is obviously if Ange wanted him, obviously him coming from the J League, why did we not get him when Ange was in charge? Why have we waited now for a new manager to come in, not know who this guy is or why he may want him? I don't really understand that part. That's interesting that.
Can I just tap in to say
go for it, mate.
I think what I've noticed with the club as well is I think we like to go for the Asian market quite a lot in regards to our globalization within that region. I think we've had Sonny and what he's brought to the club, etc., in regards to the fan base and stuff like that. I think obviously following the same thing with Min Yuk. And I feel like Takai is also, even though apparently he's meant to be quite rapid and quite a big prospect over there, I think this echoes a little bit of that kind of same following, if that makes sense, without being a bit too touchy.
100%.
No, I understand what you mean. They're probably trying to, because again, it's me coming from a position where I'm not too sure about, what football is like. Obviously, I can see from the J League, it's followed religiously over there. The fan bases look incredible. But I don't think there's so much Premier League following in those countries. So maybe Tottenham are trying to tap into that market and trying to bring more fans to Tottenham. You could say it's a marketing technique, but you could also think, again, this Takai guy, from what I'm reading, he's one of the best young centre-backs in Japan. And people do really have high hopes for him. So maybe a bit of both. Hopefully we've got, a good young player on our hands, and also it might, bring in some more money for the club.
No, exactly. And it's one of them where if Lang is leading on this, then it means the club have an approach which they are keeping to, but we shall see with that. So I'm just going to hand over to Joseph quickly because I need to just jump off for a couple of minutes. Joseph, I've just sent you a message, mate, so if you could just pick that up, that'd be great. It's on the private one, mate. So pretty much as soon as you're ready, I will jump.
Yeah, I'm ready. All good. So let's keep on going. Obviously, about Takai coming in again for only a 5 million fee. But again, I think a lot of Tottenham fans and I think a lot of Tottenham fans will appreciate me saying that the thing that it's causing is a bit of a worry in terms of what are Tottenham doing in terms of buying ready now players. I'd like to come to you, Joey, on it. Obviously, again, it's nice. It's all good buying these younger players that can come in and make an impact. But we also need players for now. I think one thing we saw from last season with the Europa League, with how the Premier League went, we didn't have enough experience and squad depth to get us through the amount of football we had to play.
Most definitely. And I think it kind of took a toll on our season as we got later on into like March, April. We had, Anne said we started predominantly not so much tanking results in the Premier League to kind of push for the Europa League, but as a club and the size that we are, we should be being able to challenge on majority of the fronts, and obviously having to field Archie Gray at centre half and stuff like that. Obviously, it's not ideal having Jed go left back at times, even though he's been superb there. I mean, it's some of the things we have to make shift and do. It's not really ideal. So I think for us to kick on and not get left behind in regards to Arsenal, Liverpool, Chelsea, etc., Man City, etc., I think we need to really be going for experienced professionals and trying to keep up and not get left behind again and have a similar situation to what we did last season.
Yeah, definitely. No, and that's where the worry comes. You're thinking that we want to see those ready players come in. We need we do need some bigger purchases, some players that we know are going to come in and just be a stable. Again, like Takai, he has no Premier League experience, he has no European experience, and we're bringing him in, and we're saying that he's going to be a part of the first squad. It's going to be a part of the team going forward, but we don't really know we don't have an expectation of him. We don't know what he's going to bring. Whereas if you go and sign a Premier League ready player who's played in Europe, you have an expectation, you have an idea of what they're going to bring to the club. Another signing that has been made recently that we're hearing of, or a signing that has come out the same day we're seeing Arsenal signing Norgard, we're signing a young player called Oliver Boast from Leeds. Now, again, really unknown to me. Travis, I don't know if you have any information on him at all, but it seems like, again, another one for the future, one kind of that will come into the academy and maybe, going forward could possibly be a part of Tottenham in years to come.
Yeah, I don't know too much of him, to be fair, Joseph. All I've read on Twitter is obviously what everyone else has read. Like I said earlier, I really do kind of worry when we get these youngsters in for the future. I think the future's the future. We're looking at now. Daniel Levy's come out and said, "I want to win the Premier League. I want to win the Champions League. I want to win everything," but he's not looking in that direction, and that's my worry. I don't know too much about Boast.
I mean, the one thing I'd be worried about is we got to hope he doesn't end up like Alejo Velez. Obviously, it looks like he's going to be leaving the club, going back to Argentina, possibly. Another kind of one where everyone has such high hopes for him, and it hasn't really worked out for him. A couple of loan spells that he never kicked on from, and now we're looking to get rid of him for a little bit less money than we bought him for. So you've got to hope these kind of.
Can I just add? Sorry to interrupt, mate. My worry is we was looking at Kyle Walker-Peters. He's just come from a relegated Southampton side, and he never really hit the road running at Tottenham before. But it's because he's a free player, and that's where we're at Tottenham at the moment. I wouldn't really want him back. He didn't succeed the first time. He's come from a relegated side. What's to say he's going to succeed this time? And again, it's just another free agent that. Yeah, but as you both say, we need to be looking at now. We need to be looking at this season and looking at grown players in the Premier League that have got the experience to be going forward, whether that's from the Bundesliga, the Premier League, La Liga, wherever it may be. We need these players that are ready to fight for titles.
Yeah, and that's been one of the biggest problems, isn't it? Like, I think everyone thought us winning the Europa League would mean us kicking on and maybe, looking at other players and purchasing bigger players that maybe we wouldn't have been able to get before. But one thing I'm sure we're going to get onto is Mbuemo rejecting us. It looks like Eze is not going to happen, and they're going to go to other rival clubs. And that's where, I think all of us are sitting here going, what's going on, Daniel Levy, especially after, like you said, he came out and said, I want to win the Champions League. I want to win the Premier League. Well, then put your money where your mouth is and prove to us that you want to do that. It's what's really difficult for us. But yeah, Kallum, back to you. I mean, just talking about Oliver Boast, not knowing too much about him. Again, hoping he doesn't end up a bit like Alejo Velez. Obviously, really, it looks like he's kind of be on his way now. But again, another young player for the future rather than any players for right now.
No, exactly, mate, exactly. And I think I posted yesterday saying that imagine if Eze went to Arsenal and we announced Boast in the same day, it'd be civil war, wouldn't it? It'd be civil war. It'd be like Star Wars, fucking everyone going against each other. We'd be fighting. It'd be manic down that high road. And to be honest, I don't think Daniel Levy would survive it. But, I mean, Boast is a good player. Don't get me wrong. He's one who's up and coming. He's been linked. Harry Gray's been linked. There's Mason Malia as well. But I think we need to get into the crux of it, don't we, now? Because we have had some big news today, last night, and the last couple of days. So based on a report from David Ornstein tonight, Bryan Mbeumo has stated that he will only be joining Man United this summer if Brentford accept a bid from them. If not, he will stay and then leave on a free next summer. He's made it categorically clear that he will not join Spurs. Joey, I'm going to come straight to you on this one, mate. What does that say to you when Man United don't have Champions League football? They don't have Europa League football. They don't have Checkatrade Trophy football. They lost to us in the final, and yet they can still get players like Cunha, like Mbeumo, and we are being tighter than a nun's chuffer at the moment over this. So, I mean, what does that say to you, mate?
That just says to me that they still have the Man United heritage from the early 2000s and the 90s, and as Travis is pointing out on camera, the money. That's all it boils down to. At the end of the day, obviously, Man United's always going to be an attraction for players because of obviously the history and stuff like that. I can't dispute that. But if you're a current player and you care about obviously competing and playing in the top competitions, and obviously, actually playing for something, right at this current moment, you'd want to sign for Spurs. Man United's a graveyard at the moment. That's been a graveyard for the last 7-8 years. Okay, Spurs finished 17th. Yeah, whoop-de-doo. But we won we won the Europa League, and we're going to be playing in Europe next season, the biggest competition there is. Why would you not want to come and sign for Spurs and play straight away and come straight into the first team? To me, it's a bit baffling. I'm not going to lie to you, and I think it's a bit of a weird decision from him to just shut it down completely to come into Spurs and to come into play for the manager who basically put you in this position as well, which is another thing. It's kind of ludicrous to me. I'm not going to lie to you, gentlemen, but each to their own. I only want players that want to play for the football club anyway. So, regardless, good luck to him. But he's making a bad decision, in my opinion.
No, hands down, mate. Hands down. Joseph, do you agree with Joey, or do you think there's a different angle that we need to look at this from at all, mate?
No, I do completely agree with Joey. Like, I'm disappointed because I really liked Mbeumo. I think he was excellent last year, especially under Frank, and he knows how to utilise him. He knows how to get the best out of him. I mean, Mbeumo was with Brentford all throughout, Frank's tenure, really, in terms of coming up from the Championship, and he kind of improved season on season, and he became a better player. And we saw, the peaks of what he was last year, where he was one of the best players in the Premier League. And I was really looking, hoping that Tottenham could get the deal done, especially with Frank coming in. But the thing that it proves to me is, like everything Joey said, I completely agree with him in terms of, what is the reason why Mbeumo wants to go to United over Tottenham? Well, one, it might just be the prestige, the heritage of Manchester United. They are the biggest club in England. and they're one of the biggest clubs in the world. And unfortunately, and Tottenham aren't in that position. But also, it's the money. I think that's clearly the money. The fact, like you said, what David Ornstein tweeted, it was the fact that I'm either going to Manchester United or I'm not going, makes it seem like he's there for the money, because he knows he's either going to get a great wage at Man United, or he will just stay another year at Brentford and go somewhere else and get a massive a payday. And he obviously doesn't want to come to Tottenham knowing he's going to be getting less for, more years. And that's the biggest problem. That's where Tottenham keep on falling short. We're not willing to pay the big money to the players that want it, and other teams are going to go and pay it. And this is what I mean. Like, we're going into, I'm sure we'll get onto this, Eze and everything like that. But let's be honest, if it's Tottenham and Arsenal right now, maybe you're still just siding with Arsenal, but it's close. But then Arsenal are going to probably pay him 50k more a week than we would. And that's what's going to sway you. That's what's going to make you think, okay, I'm going to go for more money. And football is ever changing. But the one thing, it's just the inflation in football is crazy, where player prices, player wages are going up and up and up. Tottenham are still, 10 years ago, they're still there. They're trying to pay the wages that now the likes of Brighton and the likes of Bournemouth and the likes of Fulham are having to pay for their players. Whereas if you look at the wage budget and the wage bill of the top teams, their top players are earning 100,000, 200,000 more pounds than our top players. And that's where Tottenham are really going to start falling behind if they don't buck their ideas up and start offering the wages, the competitive wages that these players are going to want.
No, exactly. And Trav, obviously, Man United have always been the front runners for Mbeumo. I don't think any of us were under any false sense of reality that we would potentially be there, because United had him at the top of their list. He's on our list for it. We was kind of hoping that Frank would have some pull with it. But do you think that him going to United is a big loss for Spurs, or do you think that there are better, more achievable, more appropriate players that we could get?
I think he'll go to United and just burn it out for the money, if I'm honest with you. I don't know how old Mbeumo is now. Is he late 20s?
25.
He's only 24, 25. He's still a young guy.
25, so he's still young. The biggest one for me at the moment is Eze. If we got Mbeumo, lovely. I think he's a good footballer. I thought he'd done really, really well at Brentford. I thought, Thomas Frank coached him really well and obviously got him to where he is now. But the biggest one for me is Eze, and he has been for about 2 or 3 seasons now. That would be the biggest one for me, and that would be probably a statement signing if he was to come to Tottenham. Obviously now the Woolwich scum have obviously now piped up, and obviously now they want him. And as much as I despise that club with every inch of bone in my body, they are the more attractive sides because they've made a lot more signings. Obviously they've got Zubamende. Obviously they signed Norgard, 31. I think they've kind of had their pants pulled down a little bit with that. But they're making signings. We have not signed anyone yet. There's nothing, kind of pulling these players in the right direction to want to come and play for Spurs. The only thing we've got over us at the moment is obviously winning the Europa League. Other than that, there's nothing, too attractive to come to Tottenham. And I'm sure there'll be a lot more worries in mind with players why not to come to Tottenham, other than the transfers, obviously the sacking the managers and stuff like that. And I'm sure that is going through players' minds. So, but yeah, if we don't sign Eze, I'll be absolutely gutted, especially if he goes to that little team down the road. I'll be fuming.
Well, we will get on to Eze in a bit, but Joey, I'm going to come back to you, mate. And there was an interesting part in the article from Ornstein where it does say that if he doesn't get his move to United, he will stay there if they can't agree a fee. Do you think this fully takes Spurs out of the running, or do you think Spurs should be gutsy and throw everything towards getting this transfer done and showing our intent as a big club?
I would love if we did that. I genuinely would love if we did that. And I'll cast you guys' mind back to January when, if we listen to the reports we were seeing all over social media about Mateus Tel saying he doesn't want to come to Spurs, he doesn't want to come to Spurs, and then miraculously out of the blue, he signed for Spurs, and then the truth came out. He said, "I never said I didn't want to come to Spurs. I never said that." So sometimes, sometimes you just got to let nature take its course, and you never know what could really happen. But obviously, Ornstein's the number one guy for me. So whenever Ornstein says something, I take it quite literal. So, yeah, I would love for us to act like a big club and just go and pay the money for him. I would, because I really like him, but I've always liked him, to be fair, since he's come in. And I think for a geezer that scored 20 Premier League goals, I think 60 million, 65 million is a complete steal. I think it's a complete steal in this current market, of course, in this current market. So, ideally, I agree with Travis. I'd love if we could do, but I'd love if we would really act like a big club and just get both him and Eze. That would really, really be the icing on the cake for me. But idealistically, that's not going to happen. But yeah, I think that would be great intent from Spurs if you were to just go and just hijack the deal completely and just sign him. Yeah, for me personally.
I think that's what's so frustrating as being a Tottenham fan, though, isn't it? Like the fact that you said there, we won't be able to go and get Mbuemo and Eze, when if it was Liverpool and Arsenal or City and said they just go and do it, they just go and pay it and get it done. And it's like, again, coming back to what you said, Travis, and, I feel like we're going to be referencing this thing that Levy has said for years now, for years to come. We're going to be talking about that interview where he's flirting with Vinay and he sits there and goes, well, I want to win Champions League football. I want to win the Premier League. And it's like, well, we're going to keep on going back to that because he's never going to pay the money to do that, to compete. Like the idea of signing Mbeumo and Eze should be realistic. It should be like we should be able to go and sign them two and more, because we're seeing Liverpool do it. They just spent 120 million on one player, and Tottenham have the finance, the financial clout to do it. It's just maybe they don't have the cash right now, but they have the financial clout to go and make these moves in the market. But they're never going to, not under this ownership.
Joe, do you know what's crazy as well? Yeah, sorry to cut it to butt in, gentlemen, but what's crazy to me is Beyonce was at the ground for a whole week. Not to mention Chris Brown did 2, maybe 3 days as well. So,
yeah.
Like, on average, they probably made at least 5 million per evening. So, if you do the maths on that, that pretty much covers Mbeumo. It pretty much covers Mbeumo, I think. So, just putting it out there, gentlemen, the money's been made. It's being made. It's going in the back pocket instead of into the playing stuff.
And that's another thing you said, wasn't it? Every penny the club earns is going to go back on the playing squad. That's bullshit. It's not happening.
It's buying a hotel and a new hotel development and a housing development next to it. Let's put it that way. But it's definitely, when you think about it, Arsenal are losing Thomas Partey. They brought in Zubamendi and Norgard to replace him, and obviously Jorginho, who's gone back to Brazil. They've now got 3 players who can play as centre defensive mids in Rice, Norgard and Zubamendi. And Liverpool were doing the Wirtz deal since January with their inquiries for 120 million. They've signed Frimpong, they've signed Kirkes. They've got 3 left backs at the moment. They've got 3 right backs at the moment. They've got God knows how many forward line players. They've still got the donkey and Darwin Nunez. I'm not saying that I want to sign Darwin Nunez, because we've had Soldado who can't hit a barn door from 2 yards away. I mean, Travis, with his wife beater shirt on tonight, would probably hit more tonight than Nunez and Soldado put together. But the baseline of it is that Spurs have to show intent this summer if we're prepared to do it. And if, based on what Ben Jacobs has said, well, Ornstein's saying we're not getting Mbeumo. Ben Jacobs and some other reputable sources have said that Eze is now of interest to at least 4 other clubs: Man City, Arsenal, Chelsea and Newcastle, as well as Spurs. How does it go from us being chasing Eze for year on year on year. He's a base client. We have the best links with base. We have scouted this guy for years. We've scouted him when he was at QPR. We've scouted him for God knows how many years at Palace. And now, and this is where I'm going to come to Travis, because I know that I can roll Trav up with this comment. Because Eze could be in different colours instead of a white shirt. And it's for so many years we've had David Pleat scouted him, we've had Ian Bloomfield scout him, and somehow, even with the better pay conditions as reported by Paul O'Keefe, where they don't want all the 68 million up front, we can pay it as 30 and 20 and 20. Now we could lose out altogether finally, and he could leave Crystal Palace to go to another top 6 rival. So, Trav, I'm going to let you have your moment in the limelight, mate, because I know that with that receding hairline of yours, that it will go even further back if Eze goes anywhere apart from Spurs this summer, mate. Take it away.
Listen, right. If Eze goes to that fucking team down the road, right, you're going to need more than a filter on the next podcast. Let me tell you something, right? You're going to need bleeper after bleeper, mate. Honestly, I'll be fuming if he goes to that lot. Fuming, mate. I just seeing their name. Oh, we're interested in Eze. No, you're fucking not. I hate them. Absolutely. Honestly, mate. It's just why? Don't, honestly, I can't. I'm on a live podcast, mate. My missus knows how I feel about it, so that's enough, really. Yeah, I just...
Is that why the vest's out tonight? Is that why the vest's out? Because someone's going to end up on the receiving end of it?
I just don't understand, right, that they've put it in there in black and white that we can pay £20 million instalments. We've got the money sitting there, like Joe just said. We're getting all this revenue in, all this money in from Chris Brown, like Beyonce. The money's sitting there, and I see someone tweet earlier saying that there's no money in Tottenham. Bullshit, mate. There's loads of money inside that club. It's just it's Joe Lewis. Forget Levy. It's Joe Lewis, mate. He does not want to spend the money, and it is just painful. And we do this year in, year out on these podcasts talking about the lack of investment into the club when it comes to the team. And I just...
It's all right. Dallas is here, and he's come on at the perfect time. So, evening, Dallas. You are here to rile up, Trav. Tottenham are 0, Paul. This big club talk. You ain't a big club. Never have been. Never have been.
They'll come crawling out of woodwork, don't they? Just parasites, mate. Honestly, they're all as bad as each other. Go back onto your channel and go and have a row on your Arsenal TV, mate.
Travis, mate, we're the ones who want a trophy, all right? They're still sitting there. They're in their process. Let them be. Let them be.
We've had a better season than them. So, yeah, go back onto your Arsenal TV with all your pals and go and have a row with them, because that's fucking Comedy Central at its finest.
Dallas, you are welcome here, mate, but I will say that you probably will get a little bit of shit, and it all is in the fun of the game, let's put it that way. But Broke FC getting beat out by a club who lost to you in the Europa League, so there we go. And I think he's going to be staying in. But no,
so let's not talk about Thomas Partey, yeah? God dear.
Oh, okay.
That one we'll leave to someone else's podcast. Let's put it that way. That or a police station lineup. But that's all I'm going to say on that one. There we go. But let's put it that way. So if Eze does go somewhere else, Joseph, and like we've already said, he has been differing with Spurs. He's been here, he's been there, and we've had so many opportunities to do it. Mourinho wanted him when he was at QPR. He went to Palace. We've had Conte, who's apparently been interested in him before. He didn't come. He was our top target last summer, and we ended up getting a lot of youth players. We got Odebear instead, and only Solanke is the first team player. If this was a summer that we actually went and had the intent to get him, it'd be great. But if he goes elsewhere, will you be pissed, seething, and end up with the same airline as Trav?
Well, the airline's getting there, boys. Don't worry about that. But I've kind of kept the same energy. I do like Eze. I mean, he's a quality player. It's clear for everyone to see. What he's done at Palace has been so impressive. And he's 100% a player I'd love at Tottenham. But I've always kind of kept the same energy that I'd love Xavi Simons more. I think he'd be perfect. I think he's got the highest ceiling. I think he's got, again, more promise, and he could, kind of build his career at Tottenham. And in a difficult way for me to say, one thing that's probably going to anger Travis is that
Eze, let's go for it. Let's rather bast it up.
Eze must be about what, 27? I think he's about 27.
I think 26, 27 now. Yeah. So,
and sadly, I mean, Arsenal were in a position where they are ready to go and win the league. They are ready to go and possibly win the Champions League. And he does kind of fit that timeline, doesn't he? It feels like he comes in as a ready player. Whereas when you look at Xavi Simons, he's 22. He kind of fits in with what we've got building in terms of a young squad, a hungry squad, wanting to go on and win more. And you feel like maybe he integrates into that squad a bit better. That's not to say I wouldn't love Eze. I'd absolutely love him. I'd adore him. He screams as a Tottenham football player, doesn't he? The way he plays, the technique, his skill moves, everything he does, he just looks like a Tottenham player. And it would be so... it'll be very difficult to see him play for Arsenal, knowing how great he is. But again, this is what we're used to as Tottenham. We know that there's been so many times that we've been after a player. They've gone on to be great at other clubs. Jack Grealish, Kvaratskhelia, that's just to name a couple. There's loads, even through history. Samuel Eto'o was even one before my time. Eden Hazard. Like, this is what I mean, these players.
Willian the bastard did a fucking medical and then took the taxi that we was getting to him to go down to bloody Chelsea. Look at that. There we go.
I mean, this is what I mean. It's what we're used to. And again, I think what we were all hoping is that this Europa League trophy, we'd maybe kind of change the script, but maybe we were all kidding ourselves a bit, and we need to remember who's in charge of the football club. And that he's just because we won a trophy doesn't mean he's going to change, doesn't mean he's going to act any different. So again, I would be sad to see Eze go, and it's still not impossible. We could get him. It's not like it's impossible that we don't get him. I think Eze would still be happy to come to Tottenham if it was a deal that got done. But I think it's when you don't get these players, you've got to go and find a suitable option that is as good, if not better, than that player. But again, that all comes with spending the money, and that's where Tottenham have been at the downfall at the moment.
No, exactly, mate, exactly. And I will read this one out because I can see that Trav is gradually getting chin after chin after chin now at the moment. He's sinking into his chest. He looks like he's ready to murder someone. Daniel Levy really said with a straight face, I want to win the Premier League and Champions League, and then sign some nobody from Japan. It does have some merit to this statement, and the fact that he sat there alongside Vinay Venkatesan, who does have an affiliation with Arsenal at the same time as well, and did say that he wants to win both. But then he also said before this that Spurs can only spend money we have, and apparently we don't have a lot of money. We apparently owe a minimum of 180 million in transfer fees, and even getting an Eze deal where it's 30 million up front, it's a deal that Spurs like. They don't have to pay it all in one go. They can pay it in sort of a couple of times. They can pay it over a couple of years. They can spread these transfer fees. We could go to HSBC and go and get a banker's check for it. And it's there. Oh, there we go. David Clark's here. No, don't worry, David. We are fully against that bald bastard tonight because he will be fucking up our summer. He's already done Travin. Let's put it that way. So we shall do. But I do want to just put one to Dallas just whilst we are on the Eze stuff. I have heard reports that apparently he was in the Arsenal Youth Academy when he was younger. So I just want to know whether you can confirm or say that
was Harry Kane. So was Harry Kane, just saying.
Oh no, don't worry, Trav. No, it's all right. I know Kane was. I know.
He's getting shots fired now, mate. I'm waiting for his comment back. He's gonna get shots fired now.
It's all right. He'll turn up at your front door and shoot you. It'd be fucking hilarious. It's either that or just someone else in Basildon. One of the two.
It's a long way down off the first floor.
Oh, I am sorry, but no, Joey, I'm going to come to you because I know the boys have spoken on Eze. Eze for me is hands down one of my favourite players in the Premier League. I was so fortunate to see him play live last year against Spurs twice, and it was magic seeing him link up with Walton, with Mitchell, with Mateta as well. I mean, what does Eze mean to you as a player, sort of thing, mate?
Same as what Joseph said. To be honest, he's a Tottenham player. The profile, he gets you off your seat. He's got twinkle toes, gets the ball from deep, and he just travels with the ball. He's like a gazelle. Like he just weaves in and out, and he's so dangerous, and he's got that stardust. He's got that superstar magic, man. And I think that's a player that we, as Tottenham fans, we've always gravitated to. You know, we've had our Modric's, we've had our Gareth Bales. Do you know what I mean? We've had for the older generation, we've had our Glenn Hoddles and Paul Gascoigne. Do you know what I mean? So he's in that mold of a number 10 who's just a complete magician. And I think, yeah, I say it again, he's the Spurs player. And you know, why would you want to go back to the club that released you as a 13-year-old boy? You said it on many occasions how when they released you at 13 years of age, you cried and cried your eyes out. You know, why would you want to go back to that ex-girlfriend that did you dirty? Do you know what I mean? Go get a new bird, go get her best friend and show her what she's missing. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, man, I think Eze would be a top signing for us. It's something that I think majority of the fan base would be very pleased with. And yeah, that could be something that, you know, can propel us into a better position. So yeah, I'm all over it. Hopefully we can do it.
No, that's definitely fair, mate. Trav, another one to roll you up. In all seriousness, if Levy ran Arsenal, I'll be watching long bowls by now. Let's put it this way. It's probably more enjoyable than dealing with Daniel Levy, to be honest. So, but then you guys did have the Cronkies, and it's only where the sun stepped in that you guys actually managed to do something. So we will see. But what is it, nearly £1 billion now, and you've got Lego head, and you still haven't done much about it. So we still have at least one trophy. I am sorry, Dallas, but it has to be done. Right, question from Harry. He seems to be spying on us in the background, so we better answer it for him. Eze is a special player, no question. However, should the money be spent elsewhere on a 6, let's say? Not saying this is how I feel, but want to play devil's advocate. Who wants to take this one?
I'll take it.
Okay, we'll go Joe, then we'll go Trav.
I get what Harry's saying, and I think he's right. It is really important that we go and buy a 6. But again, I think one thing that we saw from last season is we need squad depth. I mean, the injury crisis we dealt with last year was atrocious, but it completely derailed our Premier League season. Luckily, it didn't have too much of an impact on the European season. But again, it was so difficult for us to get through that when so many important players, you know, were missing, especially at the back. But you know, this is where Tottenham are going into another season where they cannot allow for that Premier League season to happen. And now we're playing in Champions League football, which is going to be 10 times harder than what we just played in the Europa League. So Harry's definitely right. We do need to go and buy a 6, but we need to go get rotational options up front. We need to go get another right winger. We need to get a left winger if someone was to possibly leave or any other players were to leave. You know, the idea that, you know, I remember I was speaking to somebody on Twitter about this, and they were saying, why buy Eze and Xavi Simons? We've already got Maddison and Kulusevski. Well, Maddison and Kulusevski both got injured last year, and we were without a midfield, you know, a creative midfielder, creative option. we've got to have players that maybe are versatile, but also we need these players. We need attacking reinforcements. We need defensive reinforcements. We need midfield reinforcements. So you're right, Harry. We do need to go and spend big money on a 6, but we also need to go spend big money on a right winger. We need to spend money in almost everywhere on the pitch. And that's the problem that Tottenham are in, because we need so much. Last season, as much as it was so great that we won the Europa League, it was still such a poor footballing season from Tottenham. We saw so many players underperform, so many situations where it felt like we were lacking all over the pitch. So, so much needs to be done in this window.
No, I appreciate that, mate, and definitely Harry agrees with you on that. Good points, and agree regarding depth. For me, I think we should go with Eze, to be clear. He can play left wing or cam. Only thought the question as we have Matters and Decky. Right, so let's throw it to the wife beater vest. Travis, what you got for me?
Yeah, to be honest with you, I completely agree with everything Joseph has said there. I think he's kind of hit the nail on the head there, to be honest with you. I'm all for Eze, and that's just one player that I'm just absolutely begging for this transfer window. The thing with Maddison, he got injured. Kulusevski got injured. Kulusevski isn't consistent enough. He blows hot and cold. We need a winger that is consistent every game, every time. I think if Sonny goes, I think it's written in the stars that obviously Matthias Tell will be playing in his position, and so he should be as well. I thought, I think he's going to be quite a good signing for us. I think. So yeah, I understand what Harry's saying. I think it's a really good question. I think a number 6 would be, important, but for me, I think Eze is just a real deal. That's just the main key player for me. I've not seen too much of Xavi Simons, so I can't really comment on him. Obviously, I know he plays for RB Leipzig, as he played for. That's as much as I know, to be honest with you. So I can't really comment too much on him. But yeah, Eze is the one for me. Because he can play, as you quite rightly said, he can play left mid or cam. So yeah. There's not many really any other player out there at the moment that I would like to see at Spurs.
Yeah, if I come in quickly on that's another reason why I think Xavi Simons will be perfect. He's played a lot of games on the left. He also plays through the middle, and he's played on the right. So he's played across the whole front three for Leipzig. And I just think, again, coming in with that versatility will be so important for Tottenham, because there's times where, again, we don't have a left winger available, we don't have a right winger available, or Maddison or Kulusevski, someone's injured. You've got that versatility where you can kind of fit him in. And that's one thing we know about Frank as well. He's definitely willing to throw out different players in certain positions. He's willing to change up his formation and be a bit more, pragmatic, where we obviously didn't see that with Ange. But I think that's where a player like Xavi Simons would suit. You're right, though. We need those versatile players to kind of come in and be able to fit different roles, because, again, we saw last year, and like David Clark said about some of the Spurs children, I mean, as much as it was great to see some of those young players last year, they weren't, you could see that some of them weren't ready for the Premier League. You could see they weren't.
And even Ange was saying by the end of it, we need them experienced players. So you need experienced players to show the youngsters how to go to the next level. You don't just expect young players to go to the next level. That's the thing. And I mean, just to bring in something Harry's just said, Adam Walton. I mean, if you got Adam Walton and Eze in there, I know you're probably dropping the best part of 120 million probably there on these players in transfer fees, but he is someone who, yes, he is young, but has enough experience, I think, to come in there, and we wouldn't have the brain of Britain idiot moments of Basuma deciding whether he wanted to take someone out in the box, or whether he's switch off, or whether he's doing a balloon in the middle of the pitch and all that sort of thing.
I think he's going anyway, Cal. I think he's going to it's not Fiorentina, is it? Frankfurt? Is it Frankfurt?
What do you mean, Fenerbahce in Turkey? That one?
Fenerbahce, that's it. Yeah. I think he'll be going there. I think as well, I just want to add a quick comment on the Xavi Simons. I think he would be a really good rotational player with competition with Kulu, because I don't think Kulu's had much competition to kind of play for out on that wing. So I think that them two would be a good competition, I think.
I really have belief in him. I think if he was to come into Tottenham, he wouldn't be a rotational player for long. He'd come in and he'd be starting most games. He's a quality player. He's the type of player that you could look at and think he could lead Tottenham forward for the next 5, 6, 7 years if he was to stay. I think he'd be that good for us. So.
Do you think he'd stay that long though, Joe?
Well, that's the thing. You're right. Yeah, 100%. I mean, you're completely right on that. Probably not, because this is what Tottenham do. You know, you have these players for a couple of years and then they go, you know what, I'm going to move on somewhere better. But this is where Tottenham need to change the narrative, because if Daniel Levy wants to win the Champions League and wants to win the Premier League, these players have got to want to come to Tottenham and stay at Tottenham. You know, I mean, we're slowly seeing it a little bit recently with Arsenal, where they've got the likes of Saliba, Gabriel, Saka. You don't see any of them wanting to leave right now. And if they don't win a trophy eventually, yes, they will go on and leave. But the problem is, this is where Tottenham are at right now. We're kind of at the start of where they were in their process, but we've just done it with a European trophy alongside it. But, you know, the likes of Bergvall, he's going to keep on improving and getting better and better. You've got to get Bergvall to stay at Tottenham for the majority of his career. And that's going to, in a couple of years, that might be difficult. He might be getting links to Real Madrid, to Barcelona, to other clubs, top clubs. This is where Tottenham need to kind of change that narrative. And if Daniel Levy wants to win the Champions League and the Premier League, like he says, it's on him to change it.
No, exactly. I mean, a very valid point that Harry's made as well. Regarding Norgard, it made a lot of sense to actually sign him. I think one of the most ironic things about this summer is that we sack Ange, we get Thomas Frank in, and the one player who can actually play as a 6 at the club who was reliable and who has just been sold to Marseille was fucking Højbjerg. Of every player that could have been the most perfect Frank signing, it had to be Højbjerg for it. But some very valid ones from David Clark in terms of winning the Europa League was like winning a raffle, sleep with Miss World, but waking up the next morning realising that you had to clock in and work back on the dustbin round. I think it's more like at the moment that if we do miss out on all these players, we think we're going to bed with Miss World and instead we're waking up next to the dustbin, or we're waking up in bed with the dustbin, let's put it that way, because if we don't spend money, we are going to be relying on the same squad with the supplement of a couple of youngsters. And I really appreciate how passionate David Clark is on this, because, yeah, you feel your youth academy are good players. You get them to a level. That level, like with a lot of the Chelsea players that they get into their youth academy, they're then ready to go into the first team. Miles Skelly, Ethan Nwaneri as well were ready, and Saka were ready to go into Arsenal's academy. As I think Trav or Joe said earlier, James McAtee, Oscar Bobb, Nico Riley, Rico Lewis, all in City's academy, ready to go. Liverpool's academy, Bradley, Doak, people like that, all Quansah, who has just been sold for a brilliant, outstanding fee to go in there for it. 1 minute, fuck you. On that one, I am sorry. But these players were all bought in, trained well, and have either gone on loan well and then progressed to the first team. And if we're able to do that with players like Phillips, like Donnelly, like Keeley, like Lancashire, I don't think Scarlett will make it, but he'll probably stay around for homegrown quotas. Vuskovic, go for it, Trav.
One player, I just want to know your guys' opinions on this. One guy that I've got really, really high expectations for that is currently a first-team player at Spurs is Pat Matassar. What's your opinion on him, Joey and Joseph?
I like Pap. I like Pap a lot. He's got a proper engine on him, proper box to box. I just want to know with him. My thing is, what's gonna be his standout attribute? I just don't know what it's gonna be yet. Is he gonna be more of a combative midfielder, or is he gonna be more of a attacking creative? I don't know what side of the coin he's on yet. So that's my only thing that I wonder with him at the moment. But
So
I think
it reminds me of, and this is a massive statement to make, bearing the player I'm about to mention, Moussa Dembele. I know he's not Moussa Dembele. However, I think he's got the attributes and can have the quality to become Moussa Dembele. And what a player he was. I was watching a compilation on YouTube of him the other day, and he's just an absolute beast, wasn't he?
I see it. I see it. I see it.
For me, like with Pape Sarr, I really like him. Like I think he is a great player, and I agree with Joey. I right now you don't really know exactly what he's best at. He feels like he is a bit of an engine type of player in terms of like his box to box work and running up and down the pitch, which is great. But also, you know, you look at Bergvall and you look at Bentancur, and sometimes they give you a bit more in different areas of the pitch and give you a bit more. So it's a difficult one with Pape Sarr. Like I think again, the one thing that you see a lot with Thomas Frank and the way that he's set up with Brentford is he had Norgard and Janelt, or you know, and the one thing you saw from both of them is they're both very good with the ball at their feet, as well as so building out from the back in terms of passing, as well as their defensive acumen. So Saab, I don't know, it's going to be tough for him because again he's got to battle with Bentancur, who's an probably our most established midfielder, and Bergvall, who has been probably our best performer last year. So it's going to be interesting. Big year for him to see if he can really kick on. And again, you know, everyone keeps on saying we still need to go and sign another midfielder that everyone really wants us to get. Hopefully Basuma moves on and somebody else comes in. But then you're thinking there might be 3-4 players in front of Pape Sarr, and he's got to push into that first team if he can.
No, exactly. And I mean, if we do just look at that midfield area at the moment, based on our squad last year, you've got Gray, you've got Bergvall, you've got Bentancur, you've got Biss, you've got Sarr, you've then got Maddison and Kulu, all sort of vying for them 6, 8, 10 positions. So you've only got 3 spots and you've realistically got about 6 or 7 players going for it. So if Biss does go, yep, fine, you can then bring someone in to replace him. But then what do you do with your returning Divines, Donnelly, people like that, who's all playing the 8 and 10 role as well? And if we do want this top class 6, who's going to drop out of that to be sacrificed? So do you bring in Walton and have Gray as his understudy, even though they're both the same age and same profile? Do you have Bentancur, Sarr and Bergvall going for that 8 position? So then if Eze comes in, it's Eze, Maddison and Kulu going for that 10, isn't it? So there's all of these questions that Frank has to work, and that's only based on Ange's style last year. We don't know what style and what tactics Frank's going to play this year, do we? It could be a back 3, could be a back 5, could be 4-3-3, could be 4-2-3-1, could be 4-4-2.
This is the thing, Kallum. Sorry to interrupt you. This is the thing, though. You're right. It's hard questions, but they're questions that you want to have. It's questions that every other club has. It's just a question that Tottenham don't at the moment. Like we've always kind of had, like when we know who's fit, we have a settled 11 pretty much. Every other club and most clubs, they have like, oh, we could put him in there. We could put him in there. Like this player's not getting enough game time. We're not really seeing that with Tottenham at the moment because we don't have the depth in quality to compete in you know, especially the competitions we're going to be facing next year. You know, with the Champions League, with the Premier League, it's a quick turnaround. You need players to play the Champions League, and if someone's tired and isn't fully fit for the weekend, you need the player who's coming in to be as good as the person who played during the week. And Tottenham aren't in that position right now.
No, exactly, mate. Exactly. So I've got a question from a mate of mine, Jack, and this is a controversial one, and we know that everyone will struggle for it. And Trav, I know that me and you both know Jack, so I'm going to come to you on this one. We've all spoken very passionately about Sonny, and he's finally captained us to a trophy after 17 years since 2008 and 41 years for the Europa League. Is this his sort of last dance at Spurs now? Is he on his way out? And would you choose to sell him accordingly?
Yeah, thank you for your question, Jack. Hope you're well, buddy. For me, I think I think a lot of people are kind of looking at how he was towards mid-end season, and I think he's lost a lot of his attributes with taking on his defender and cutting in and crossing and scoring. So I think he has kind of lost that a little bit. Why? I don't know. But I wouldn't sell him. I know we've got Matthias Tell to ideally take his position, but I wouldn't sell him. There's been so many seasons where different teams could have come in, i.e. Barcelona, Real Madrid, could have come in and said, we want him, but they didn't. And I don't think his head would have been turned the other way. I think, if anything, I think he would kind of, being the kind-hearted, selfless person he is, I think his head would only be turned in a different direction if he was forced to, and if he was forced out of the club, I think it would go more that way than him saying, I'm going, Real Madrid, I'm going to Al Hilal or wherever it may be. But I think, he's been committed to Spurs for 10 years now. I remember when he first came to Tottenham and how good he was, and I think he's lost his confidence and just lost his spark a little bit. Obviously, I think people forget that he did go and do national service for South Korea. So there's a lot of stuff that goes on in his personal life with wanting children, etc., and stuff like that. And I speak for most football players there anyway. But I think there's a lot more that goes on in Sonny's life than what goes on the football pitch. And I know his dad, he's a very, very strict man when it comes to Sonny's life with his footballing life and doing his national service for South Korea. But he to me, he's probably one of the best players I've ever seen in a Tottenham shirt. And I think he would probably be more of a legend than what Harry Kane would be, and I'm sure people would agree to maybe disagree with that. I don't know, but no, I wouldn't sell him, and I'd want him to leave when the time was right for him, not when the club wanted him to go. And I know for a fact if one of the not the Asian clubs like Al Hilal or someone like that come in with say £80 million because they can, I know Daniel Levy is the type of man to take their hand off with that, but that's not the right way of going about things. I think Sonny needs to be approached appropriately and in the right manner because of who he is.
No, definitely. And Joey, I'm going to keep it on this subject, but one from David Clark. Nothing controversial about it. You call Sonny in the office, shake his hands, tell him thank you for your service, but you're no longer going to be a first team starter. So you can be a squad player or leave. Would you be that brutal? And because, we don't know who's going to be captain this year. So it could be Sonny, it could be Kuti, could be Madders, it could be none of them. If Son was approached in that way, do you think that's fair for his long service, and just said, can he stay on or not?
No, I think that would be a bit, not a bit, I think that'd be disrespectful. I think that'd be very disrespectful considering the service he's given to the football club, and how much he actually loves the club as well, like genuinely. Because if you compare him his behavior and Harry Kane's behavior at certain points of their careers at Spurs, look at the way he's behaved. Look at the way Harry Kane's behaved. Harry Kane went missing. No one knew where he was when he tried to force to move to Man City. Whereas, like Travis said, Son he was linked to Real Madrid. He was linked to Barcelona. Son
signed a new deal under Nuno, didn't he?
Yeah,
he signed a bloody deal.
Yeah, he did. So, at times you have to treat people the way they should be treated. And I think I agree with Travis as well. And I would say, for me personally, I love Harry Kane to bits. He's a record goal scorer, and I'm super proud of him, and I'm glad he played for my football club. But I hold Sonny in a higher regard than Harry Kane now. I genuinely do. Like, he captained us to our first trophy in 17 years, and our first European trophy in 40. So yeah, for me, I hold Sonny quite dearly. I think he should be treated accordingly, and it did kind of hurt me to see him not start the Europa League final, and it was a telling thing, obviously considering his form, and he might be losing his legs a little bit. But I agree with Travis, and I think he should be given he should be able to make his own choice when he's ready to leave or be ready to move on. I don't think we should just push him out and get rid of him and deal with him in a bad way. I don't think he deserves that at all.
No, that's fair. That is fair. So I just want to go around the panel quickly, and I just want a one-word answer from you guys, either a yes or no, and it'll be: if Son stays at Spurs next season, should he be a first-team starter or not? So Joseph, yes or no for you? So that's a no. Joey?
With a heavy heart, no.
Trav?
Yes.
Okay. So for me, you're on mute, Joe.
I don't know what happens. When I get a chance, you go on. You say your opinion on that, Kallum, because I'm interested to hear it.
Yeah, I'm gonna be with the majority, and I'm gonna say no. But if I could retain Sonny at the club, I would. So Joseph, give me your thoughts on it, mate.
I think obviously, I think it's clear to see that Sonny is kind of, coming towards the tail end of his career. But again, I'm mirroring what everyone else is saying. He's been such a servant to the club, and he's been such an exemplary, captain for the club. You would never just push him out. I think it's down to when he's ready to go. But I think it's also the fact that, when with Ange, we were playing in a system that did not show Son's qualities. He was playing as a touchline winger when he was never that for Tottenham. Whenever you look at highlights, whenever you see where Son thrived, it was always cutting him from on towards the edge of the box, linking up with Kane. These kind of give and goes through the middle of the pitch, and also it's kind of finishing around the box. And with Ange, he was always sitting on the touchline, waiting to kind of run down the byline. It wasn't what he was. It wasn't his style of football. So, as much as I do feel that Son might be, not at his peak anymore, and again, probably a player that should be coming off of the bench, looking forward for Tottenham, or if he was saying I'm ready to leave now, and we get a good offer, then fair enough. Maybe you're open to it. There's nothing to say that he couldn't come in under Frank and kind of find a little bit more form if he's played in the right position and given the right kind of tactics that kind of cater to his qualities. That's what I'm hoping that Frank might do, open up again. Because the one thing Son hasn't lost is his finishing ability. But you've got to put him in the right positions to be able to, get that out of him. And unfortunately, under Ange, you didn't see that.
No, that's fair. That is fair. I honestly think there is a player in there. I don't think Odebear and Tell are ready to be the left wingers. I think that Richarlison is a good player, but is about as reliable as fuck all because of injuries. I think that Mikey Moore is nowhere near first-team football, apart from making backup appearances. So Sonny has lost a yard. He has lost his touch a lot of the time. He did miss chances last year, but he did score more than Werner, and that's not hard, let's put it that way. And that's why he's now having a retirement career in an MLS care home. There is a argument to keep Son, to train the new lads. I don't think he can be a starter week in, week out. I do not think he can do a 60-game season. I think that if he was to choose to go, I would let him go of his own volition. I would say that if we got a transfer fee for him, great. If not, it is Daniel Levy scapegoating. And I'd apply the same principle to Ben Davies as well. I think it's only fair, and it does mean that there is a need to get a new left winger in. I think there is a need to, because Tell is not enough. We saw with Tell, he's got all the energy, he's got the run in for days, but he is not ready at 19. And there is definitely potential there, but there is raw talent. It's not refined talent, it's not honed talent, it's not top class talent at the moment. So, but that's my own personal one. If I had the choice though, Solomon, he's not staying, he's going, sell him, move him on. He's good enough for a lower Premier League club, not for a top club. So it does link in where we we are looking, the Mbuemos, the Eze's, the Simmons. The other name on the list that has gone around is obviously Semenyo, and we seem to have missed him tonight, and we will just do a small segment on Semenyo. Another good player, to be honest. I think Premier League proven. He does class as homegrown as well. So, Joey, I'm going to come to you. What's your thoughts on Semenyo, mate? Because he has played with Solanke, and they did do all right last season. Well, not last season, the season before.
I think he's a good player. I really do. I think he's direct. He's physical. He's quick, and he's a nightmare. And even against us, he caused us so much problems when he came to the ground during the season. I like him a lot. Again, he'd be more ready to come into and play ahead of Matthias Tell and Odobert. But I wouldn't be mad at it. I'd be happy with it, but I'd rather Eze, I'd rather Xavi Simmons and stuff like that. But I would not be mad at it at all. I wouldn't be mad at it at all.
Joseph?
I think he's probably my least favourite one we've been linked to. Mainly because I don't think he's kind of shown that he's worth the fee being quoted. Like, I think with Mbuemo, you can kind of understand the idea of paying 60 million for the goal output he's done, like he's had, as a kind of a similar thing in terms of just what he's done over a longer period of time. Whereas with Semenyo, we've only kind of seen, last year and this year. And I don't think we've seen enough of him to know that he should be worth, that kind of 65 million fee, which it looks like Bournemouth kind of want for him. And obviously, again, that's just the market, unfortunately. But I just think maybe there might be some better options, maybe across Europe, that you can look at, like we mentioned before, like, some other players, obviously Xavi Simmons. There's a good young player at Monaco. I think it's Akaliche. There's Malik Fofana, obviously relegated with Lyon. He could definitely be one to look at, but I think there might be other options that may be possibly cheaper, but even maybe the same price that might be able to give you a bit more. But again, any player that comes into Tottenham, obviously, I'm going to try and back them and hope going forward that they're going to be kind of quality players for Tottenham. But it's just hard to know where Tottenham are going to look at. And again, Semenyo, like, would we all be happy with 65 to 70 million on Semenyo after the season he's had compared to what Mbuemo did and what Eze done? I don't know. It's a tough one.
No, it is definitely one, mate, as well. And Trav, I'm going to come to you. I mean, same sort of situation, because obviously we've had these ideas of wingers coming in, and we've had four over the last 2 seasons. We've spent 50 million on Johnson, we've spent 30 million on Odobert, we've spent 35 million or 38 million now, including a loan fee on Tell, and your doppelganger in Timo Werner as well. We have just released him. Is Semenyo worth the 70 million that they want? Because obviously they want more than the fee we paid them for Solanke as well.
Right. So I'm still kind of a bit baffled to how and why we pay 50 million for Brennan Johnson, because I don't think, apart from scoring that winning goal in the Europa League and maybe having a couple of good seasons, I don't see how Brennan. This is quite a controversial comment, but
It's
I don't
not
see
controversial.
how Brennan
I think
Johnson,
a lot of people would agree with you, Travis.
How he's even worth anywhere near 50 million. He's probably worth 25, 30 at a push. I would happily pay the money for both Semenyo and Eze, because I think Semenyo would be a good squad rotational player. He's a battler, and he's strong. He's as Joey said, he's direct. He's he's skillful. He's athletic. So I would pay the 60 million for Semenyo, and I would understand why we would pay 60 million, and I'd also pay obviously the asking price for Eze as well. I'd be happy with both. I'd be more than happy. I'd be more than happy with one, obviously being Eze. That's the main target for me. However, I'd be absolutely delighted with both, because I do rate Semenyo highly, and I think he would thrive an awful lot under the likes of Thomas Frank.
Completely fair, mate. Completely fair. I mean, let's put it this way. I think we've all come to the conclusion that we need about 200 to 250 million from ENIC as a cash injection. Joey, go for it, mate.
Gentlemen, can I just throw a little spanner in the works just to get you guys' opinion on this? Don't shoot me for this one. I just want to check the temperature.
No
of the
promises. No
I don't
promises.
mind. Shoot me if you want, but I'm just asking a question. Would you boys take Rashford?
Yeah.
If it's for 40 million?
Yeah.
I would.
Not
No.
not for his 300 grand a week wages. I think he's a twat.
The money he wants is mad, but just on face value, like would anyone take Rashford?
Yeah, I'll take the round off for 40 million for Rashford.
I wouldn't. Sorry, I wouldn't, and the reason is because the one thing that should be a minimum is hard work, and I don't see that in Rashford at all. Like, whenever he just looks so disinterested with Manchester United, maybe that's part of it, but also he never worked hard back. Like, he never really. That should just be the minimum. That should be the minimum from any footballer, and he doesn't show that. Obviously, he's got great qualities and talent, but like, that isn't enough. That isn't enough to be a footballer, and it shouldn't be enough to be a footballer for Tottenham. Like, you need to have both.
I totally hear you, Joe, but I thought he was quite good at Villa, to be honest with you. He looked very enthusiastic at Villa, in my opinion.
He looked refreshed.
Yeah, he did. I think at Man United, I think it just ran its course there now. I think his personal life was another thing.
But we would grind him down just like he got ground down at Man United. It would have the
problem with Rashford. The problem with Rashford is he's the type of player that would get into quite personal arguments with management. I don't think he'd kind of get away from getting into an argument or a dispute with another player or manager.
I don't think Thomas Frank would want him.
Nah, exactly. I'm with you, Joe. If it was the Rashford of 3-4 years ago when he was banging in 20 Premier League goals and had his head screwed on, probably pre-COVID Rashford, I'd say. But when he took all the fame and all of that and the school dinners, all of that, it went to his head. He's not the player that we appreciated when he was coming through the Europa League level. So, yeah, I wouldn't touch him with a barge pole. I'd probably beat him with a barge pole to send him back up to Man United, to be honest. Make him their problem. We've got enough problems. And we've all said Johnson's so inconsistent, not good enough to be a starter for us. Tel and Odebear, too raw. Moore, very raw. And had a good year of development, but nowhere near first team. Son, past his best. Richarlison, injury prone. Our options are not great. Solanke, good player, but needs support. That's why he was so out of the game half the time last year, because our wingers weren't performing. Our best form of creating goals last year was either through Maddison in the middle, and when he either had an off game or an injury, we suffered from it. And our wing backs, the only ones who were really doing it was Porro out of that. Doggy was off it for most of the season. Spence was good, but he's a confidence player, has to have an arm around his shoulder. Ange wasn't that. So we need options this summer. And like we said, Eze would improve that. Semenyo could improve that. Mbeumo could definitely improve that. Who was the other one that I said about earlier? There was, well, we've all named names, and Xavi Simons as well.
Options.
Yeah,
there's so many options.
The problem is we need 250 million to solve our summer. We need a 6. We need an 8. We need a 10. We need a versatile forward who can play in striker, left wing or right wing. We need another backup right back. I mean, yeah, okay. If you want to be cheap and easy, we could probably go and get Kyle Walker-Peters and Dennis Sirkin for about 10 million. Okay, they solve homegrown issues. They're not the greatest of players, but they do solve the club homegrown. Okay, there's your 10 million. But you know you're going to have to drop 60 million for Eze, so you're at 70 already. If you want an Mbeumo, you're going to have to do 60 or 65, so you're at 130 million already. You're probably going to have to drop 60 to 70 on Walton. You're at 200. If we then wanted someone else to make that, whether it be an 8 or another forward or a backup option or just your youth players, that leaves you another 30 million to 50 million to play with. Spurs are not going to do it. And David Clarke, I actually think, is completely right. That this Spurs squad is one of the weakest we've had for decades. It's got potential, but that's potential in 2027, 2028 season, 2028, 2029 season. It's not this season. And I really don't want to be ending this on a melodramatic one, but I just want to cover some of the other news out there, just what I've heard around. So obviously Spurs have looked at Gahey, likely to go to Liverpool, so that will take their spending to 250 million. Jarrad Brathwaite, who's been named, is now in advanced talks over a new contract with Everton. Don't particularly like him, but could have been a good option for us. We was linked to Hulson. He's at Real Madrid. Milos Kerkez we was linked to. He's at Liverpool. We're looking to sell Ben Davies. He's been linked to Leeds and Wrexham. That's probably not going to generate more than about 5 to 10 million. Trav is creasing up as well. So, I mean, you've got either going to the Midlands or just north of the Midlands to Leeds, or you're going to sunny Wales, you're going to Wrexham. There we go, a town full of chavs. It's fucking brilliant.
you say all these names and you go, Ben Davies.
What?
You say all these top talent, all these great names. Ben Davies, he's done, finished.
Well, come on, he has. He's our longest-serving player, and I don't think that he's really there. So if he wants to stay on as a coach, he can do. If not, there we go. He can go to Wrexham, enjoy his high life. We will go on that one in another pod, but obviously it looks like he could leave. It looks like Solomon may leave as well. I know Leeds are interested in taking him on. There are reports from Argentina that Rosario Central and Racing Club are also looking at Alejo for Liz. So if he went, that could be another 5 million and a sell-on clause. Complete waste of money on youth talent. Don't know who scouted him, and complete and utter waste of time. Bryan Hill hopefully will go this summer. We finally got to move him on. There is so many players who've got to go this summer, and we've still got Biss and Richarlison as well, and we've spent 100 million on them too. We'll be lucky to get a packet of custard creams and a full Cortina back for that as well. I mean, let's put it this way. I want to spend 250 million in the summer, plus integrate youth players. And literally, I've probably been able to raise about 30 million in transfer fees there. We ain't got no fucking money. We're building a hotel. We're building a housing development. And Vinay is now the face of the club. And that poor fucker has got to take all the flack from Daniel Levy. But unless I'm mistaken, and if anyone else wants to come in on that, I mean, I know I've got everyone creasing up and you're smirking at me for my summary. Joey, go for it. I'm on a roll, mate. I'm on a roll.
Well, what I'm going to say is Thomas Frank is really, really going to have to earn his coin. Because the amount of coaching he's going to need to be doing, Jesus. After the year that we've had, having to whip these boys into shape and in a coaching and a formative part of the game, it's going to be a long summer. It's going to be a long pre-season, I should say, for these boys.
Exactly. We've got as well David Clark saying that with the new minority owner coming in at Palace means they're going to have money. So, I mean, yeah, I don't disagree. I think there's a good chance that at least Walton could stay for another year. They'll probably keep Mateta. I think they'll only sell Gahey because I think it is his last year in his contract. Trav, I know you've been laughing at me as well, mate. So, I mean, have you got anything you want to add to my rant or comments?
That was brilliant, honestly. That's one of the best rants. You've had some rants, guys. Probably one of the best rants. That's worth 60 mil alone, mate. But we haven't got Eric Dyer anymore, so we can't rant about him. I think he's gone to Monaco now, I think.
Yeah, we got money for him, and then somehow Bayern made money with him going to Monaco and all that. I mean, how does that happen? He goes to Bayern, wins a trophy, and then gets picked up by Monaco. But if you ever looked at a wonder kid front line that has failed, that's Monaco. They've got the Japanese guy that was at Real Madrid. They've got Paul Pogba. They've got Martial. They've got someone else in their front line now. It's like the FM FIFA Wonder Kid failure box. Monaco's got as their front four. God knows what has happened there. Right, so Romeo said,
"Look, got Prison FC as well."
Oh my God! Don't no.
They do. It's true.
I wasn't gonna say it. I wanted to say it, but I wasn't gonna say it.
They do though. It's just facts. They do.
Yeah. So Romeo says last season we got money from finishing fifth, thanks to Richie. This season, Richie played a big part in winning the Europa League. I don't doubt it. I just don't think there's enough that I've seen from him throughout his whole career. But that's just personal opinion. So the club is skinned, but this idiot Levy has the money to bring in all these bring in all these useless suits who do bugger all. Yeah, no, I mean, literally he's managed to turn over a whole director's board and bring in new CEO. He's put Scott Bunn on his bike. Should have been where he should have fucking stayed. He's not a football man. He is a cycling man. Should have stayed there. So he's on gardening leave now. Donna Cullen's gone. Matthew Colcott is hiding out in the finance box. It's either that or he's sitting in an ATM. Rebecca Capelhorn as well is being looked at potentially to be moved on. And obviously half the scouting team have gone at Spurs as well. And some of my favourite scouts in David Pleat, Ian Bloomfield have all left respectively this summer. Hurst has gone as well from the medical staff. So there's been a lot of changes from top to bottom. We've still got Fabio Paratici sitting on as a consultant. His contract run out at the end of August. So I don't know whether he would come in, because obviously we know that Johan Lang is good with talent ID. Fabio Paratici is good with opening up the back of his Robin Reliant three-wheeled van and pulling out a suitcase to get a load of deals out of there, like Del Boy does on a Saturday morning down the market. He has a lot of players. It's one of them where it's going to be a tough summer. Frank's got a hard job ahead of him. And I like Thomas Frank. I think he's a good man manager, and he's gone through it and he's done it. Trav just got slapped in the face, so that's quite funny as well. But it's going to be a funny one to go there. But what we got? Okay. That's fair, Romeo. You don't care what I think. It's all our own opinions, mate. We do this for a love of Spurs, and we've all got different views, but we are all mates. We appreciate everyone's point of view for it. And if you don't agree with me, then to each their own, mate. But I can't convince everyone of it. Obviously, ain't seen much from Son. Yeah, we all agree with you on Son that we desire more from him. 70 million max for add-ons. Your opinion's done. Yeah, I'm just going to stop it here, mate, for that. If you're trying to get a rise out of me, it's really not worth it. I'm not going to lie. But yeah, so I think that kind of wraps us up, unless you boys want to cover anything else for tonight. Anyone else got any thoughts at all?
No, I think it's just it's such a big summer. Like, you just kind of reeled off all of the changes at Tottenham. Everything in terms of the ownership and everything happening at the top. It just shows what a big summer it is for Tottenham. We've got such an important year next year with the Champions League. We're coming off of one of the worst Premier League seasons we've ever had, but also one of the best European campaigns we've ever had. We're going into such an important year. And with the amount of changes, with Vinay coming in, with Frank coming in, and we're going to need to match that with the transfers. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. I've heard a little bit about, turning into like the new kind of financial year or whatever it is for Tottenham in terms of at the start of July. I think things kind of change in that sense, and maybe we'll see a bit more movement in terms of transfers, hopefully. But I think it's just clear that so much needs to change, and it's going to be a really, really interesting time at Tottenham. So I'm looking forward to it all, and I'm looking forward to more podcasts to kind of discuss it all.
No, exactly, mate, exactly. And I know that all of us will be doing a lot more shows. So, I mean, I know that myself, Trav, and a few others are going to try and put together a Spurs youth podcast. We have some amazing talents who will be breaking through or have a chance this summer. I know Frank is looking potentially to integrate Donnelly and Divine, from what I've heard, into the first team squad, to look at Vuskovic as well. But we will cover them in the coming weeks. We do have some great talent as well in Williams Barnett, George Feeney, Mason Malia, who's coming in January as well. He's coming from the same club as we got Josh Keeley from as well. But I'll leave that for another time. But obviously, boys, it has been an absolute pleasure tonight. I know it is a Friday night. I know it's 20 to 11. We've had so many people watching tonight, and I cannot thank you enough, because it was an emergency pod. Everyone's given up their time, and you guys giving up your time to watch us as well. I mean, we've had a laugh, we've had some fun, we've taken a piss out of each other, we've taken a piss out of Spurs, and yet we are still standing. So, Joseph, thank you very much for tonight, mate. Where can everyone find you, and what's your plans for the next couple of pods coming up?
Yeah, thank you again for having me. You know, it's been great, you know, with working with Harry. And again, thank you, Harry, for the opportunity with all of it. It's been great hosting and doing the shorts, everything like that. So looking forward to more with Tottenham and more with the channel. You can find me on X at JosepTHFC, kind of just giving my own opinions. And again, I made a video with Harry. I'm hopefully going to be making some more of my own videos and possibly making my own channel. So that will be hopefully something in the future, but we'll see how that goes. But again, thank you all for having me. Looking forward to more podcasts here and talking about more happening with Tottenham, because again, it's a new day every single day with Tottenham. So much kind of comes out every single day, and it's always going to be, you know, such a passion for all of us. So really looking forward to all of it. But again, thank you for having me.
No, real pleasure, mate. And Joey, your first time on with me tonight, but a regular on Harry's channel. It has been a pleasure, mate, and great to have you on. So where can everyone find your content, and where can everyone chat with you about Spurs?
It's been a pleasure to be on the show as always. With you class gentlemen, it's been a class evening, been a really enjoyable pod. Pleasure to meet you as well, properly, Cal. Good to see you again as always, Trav and Joe. But yeah, everyone can find me on Instagram and Twitter at JoeyHuncho1, and also Tottenham Joe 23 for all Spurs related content. But yeah, you might see me on Benchview Sport TV, which is an urban sports platform where I'm quite heavily on as well. So that's another separate company that I'm with. But yeah, I look forward to being back on the show more regularly this coming season. And yeah, man, big up Harry as well for having me as always. So yeah, pleasure as always, boys.
Been amazing, mate. Been amazing. And last but not least, a very good mate of mine, Trav, in your wife beater vest, your receding hairline, and the loveliest place in Essex. That's not where you live. Where can everyone find you, mate?
You got my missus laughing now as well. Nice. You won't ever live that one down.
Hello, Mrs. Caster. How's it going?
Oh, we haven't got that far yet.
Well, why not? Why not?
Yeah, exactly that. Why not?
Hey, there we go. Oh, but no, Trav, it's been a pleasure as always, brother. Where can everyone find you, mate?
Yeah, it's been absolutely brilliant, Cal. Thank you for doing the pod tonight. I know obviously it was an emergency one. Obviously I was sitting on my sofa chaffing at the bit with obviously the Tottenham transfer, reading it through Twitter. So that's why I'm glad we've managed to do one tonight. I feel I've actually been a regular on the show since 2023, so quite some time now. So extremely thankful to absolutely everyone for having me on. Love being a regular. Meet some great guests. Joey, Joseph, absolute pleasure as always with you both. Yeah, looking forward to obviously the season coming. Hopefully we can get some decent transfers in, and hopefully Eze doesn't go to the little team down the road, because I'll be fuming and my Twitter will be full of Arsenal slaughter. But yeah, you can find me at Official Caster on Twitter or X, whatever it's called nowadays. I am also on LinkedIn, where I do a lot of work for mental health. I am also starting up my own YouTube podcast soon regarding the subjects around men's mental health. So it'd be great to have you guys on and talking about a very important subject that's very close to my heart. So yeah, thank you very much for having me back on, and yeah, it's been great, Cal. You absolutely killed me. So yeah, I think you need to make your own comedy podcast. I think you'll make an absolute killing out of that. But
yeah.
Well, I do try my best, boys, but I cannot do it without the amazing cohort with me tonight and the amazing people in the chat. And no matter how much I give you guys grief and people give me grief, and we have a laugh and we sort of do stuff, and it's so good to have the guests in the chat. I mean, obviously regulars, David Clark, Romeo, Ayush. We've also had Jack, who's a good mate of mine, and Travs. We had Jay in the chat earlier. We've had Harry supporting us in the background. We had Dallas AFC. I mean, obviously, Arsenal fans always welcome. You gave Trav shit. It's fucking brilliant. We had a laugh. What can we say on that one? We had Spotlight on Spurs, who I did debut with this year as well. That was great doing that with them. We had Mark Pitts as well. And it was just such a good time to be back tonight. So no, I really appreciate everything from everyone. On a last note, there's only one place in Essex, and that's Harlow, my birthplace. Yeah, really good statistics around Harlow, David Clark. I won't bring them out on this show. I'll bring them out on another one, because I think I probably will rile up the whole of South Essex. Unless it's Loughton, then I can definitely throw some stuff there. But no, if anyone wants to check out any of my stuff, I'm on load of group chats on WhatsApp, on X. I do Park Lane podcasts on Sunday, so I'll have a show on this weekend at 7 o'clock with Luke. Not sure what we're doing yet. We'll probably get lost on that one. Obviously, doing regular stuff with Harry and Joe and the wonderful guys all on Scarfey Spurs Talks as well. I do have youth podcasts lined up. I'm going to be doing a lot more youth shorts and youth content coming up as well, and I will be bringing different transfer news this summer, and a little one to drop you guys on the way out. There will be more Tottenham Hotspur Youth Academy contracts being signed over the next couple of weeks. Oliver Iro today signed his new deal, and Mikey Moore will be signing a new deal on the 11th or 12th of August when he turns 18, to be his first professional contract, which will turn from his 3-year scholarship deal that he signed at the club. But no, if anyone wants to find me, it's Kallum Stubbs 97 on Twitter. Don't forget to like and subscribe Harry's channel. Yeah, David Clark, I know why you left Harlow, so that is brilliant on that one. Trav will be leaving Basildon soon. He is moving to Margate or Jaywick. He hasn't decided yet, and I'm sure his other half will enjoy having the wedding in Rayleigh. It'd be brilliant. But no, obviously like and subscribe all of the content for the guys. You've all been amazing, and a big come on you Spurs.